Hi, I'm Ben Mankiewicz. Thanks for watching TCM. We're in the middle of a lineup of movies directed by George Cukor, who, without a doubt, stands as one of classic Hollywood's elite filmmakers. The website IMDb lists Cukor as having directed 64 films, which includes a couple of TV movies starring Katharine Hepburn late in his career, hers too. His first credit as a director came in 1930. As a young filmmaker in 1932, Cukor made two historically important pictures. One, What Price Hollywood, is really the first version of A Star is Born. It isn't technically, but it is practically. The second, A Bill of Divorcement, marked Katharine Hepburn's first film, and it kicked off a lifelong friendship in addition to 9 more collaborations. George Cukor's last film came in 1981, the year he turned 82. Rich and Famous, starring Jacqueline Bisset and Candice Bergen, is a remake of the 1943 drama Old Acquaintance. Up next, another movie from later in Cukor's career, an adaptation of a best-selling Graham Greene novel about a stuffy banker caught up in wild adventures with his eccentric aunt. From MGM in 1972, Cukor directs Maggie Smith in Travels with My Aunt. George Cukor was drawn to the project because it gave him the chance to work again with Katharine Hepburn. After reading the novel, Cukor saw Hepburn as the perfect pick for the aunt role, and he gave her a copy. Graham Greene even personally recommended his work to Hepburn as a book made for films. Initially, Hepburn was on board, though she had some issues with the script. Several rewrites followed, none of which she was really happy with. She finally sat down, took a crack at the screenplay herself, but the studio wasn't interested. Chatter at MGM was that she was too old to play the female lead, who would appear as a younger woman in flashbacks. Ultimately, Katharine Hepburn backed out of the project. When she left, her friend George Cukor almost went with her. Hepburn, though, reportedly told him, "Don't be impractical, George. You've worked on the film for 2 years." In Hepburn's place, Maggie Smith came in as Aunt Augusta, having previously worked with producer Robert Fryer on her Oscar-winning performance in the 1969 drama The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. Then, according to co-screenwriter J. Presson Allen, they gave George about $37 and sent him to Spain and said, "Go make a movie." Here's the film Cukor made on his limited budget from 1972, also with Alec McGowan, Lou Gossett Jr., and Cindy Williams. Travels with My Aunt. Unlike other literary adaptations made by director George Cukor, Travels with My Aunt was not an overt success. The film got only mixed reviews, as did star Maggie Smith's performance. She did receive an Oscar nomination, but many of the harshest reviews came from her own countrymen, English film critics. "I couldn't grasp the contradiction," she said. "There I was, nominated by the Americans, and then getting some of the worst notices I've ever had all on the same day." Graham Greene, who wrote the novel on which the story was based, wasn't impressed either. He thought the final script was horrifyingly bad and described the film as, in a word, awful. It should, however, be noted that Graham Greene, by his own admission, never saw the entire film. He only watched the first 4 minutes, and that was on television. He just turned it off. Travels with My Aunt won a single Oscar out of its 4 nominations, Anthony Powell for costume design. Powell couldn't attend the ceremony, so George Cukor accepted on his behalf and called Powell an enormous help on the picture. Coming up, one of George Cukor's most celebrated films, a bona fide classic with a stellar cast, including Joan Crawford, Norma Shearer, Rosalind Russell, Joan Fontaine, Paulette Goddard, and not a single man. From 1939, The Women is next on Turner Classic Movies.
Next on TCM, The Women, then Dinner at 8, and later In the Money. TCM is living large tonight.